Hi everyone, my name is Sydney Kneller. A little bit about myself. I am originally from the Midwest in the central Illinois region, a couple hours south of Chicago. Grew up there for most of my life and then moved to Missouri for college at Mizzou or University of Missouri. I studied health science there as my bachelor's focus and then also took up a couple minors in business, IT, and psychology as well. Um, After school at Mizzou, I did move to Kansas City where I worked for a company called Cerner Corporation. They're a company that makes electronic health records and implements those systems at hospitals, not only across the country, but also globally as well. After a couple of years in Kansas City, I moved out to Washington, D.C., where I continued to work for Cerner, but remotely, which has been great. Um, and our company was actually recently acquired by Oracle. So technically I work for Oracle now, but still, kind of work for Cerner as well. I'm still in the same role that I was during the acquisition. So I started at Cerner as an academy consultant, which is another way of just saying an entry level consultant, where I helped end users at hospitals to implement systems and kind of work with adoption efforts there. So it's a huge change when we implement a new EHR system to hospitals. It really changes a lot of the workflows and the day to day of what nurses, doctors, techs, really any staff at a hospital works with. So it's a big switch, and having consultants on the ground to help with adoption efforts really helps. After a few months in that role, I did move over to our Veterans Affairs project that we have at Cerner and really focused on the training that we were providing to end users at the VA. Our VA contract is huge. VA has a huge healthcare system across America, one of the largest. Helping to head up some of the training on the VA project was a huge undertaking, and I certainly learned a lot over there. After a year or so, I moved over to our interoperability team where I still work as a consultant. I help to implement some of our interoperability projects where our products where systems can better talk to each other across entities or organizations within the healthcare industry. So even if a couple different facilities aren't under the same health system, information should still be shared as long as the patient consents to that, so that we can better increase outcomes to patients kind of across their continuum of care. Let's see, my ultimate dream job, I am not 100% sure yet at this stage in my career. I think I have two ideas of what I'd like to do. I'd like to get back into hospital work. I interned at a hospital and I really liked that work. I think serving in a leadership role at a hospital would be very rewarding, like personally. And then also maybe heading up a training program or working as a professor would be another passion of mine as well. I kind of have two passions, healthcare and education. So I think mirroring the two would probably be something that I would like to target as my end goal. One challenging situation I had to solve or help solve was I was kind of the point person for our part of our onboarding process on the VA project that I worked on. And it was interesting. um, when a new associate joins Cerner, they go through a few days of kind of orientation, kind of getting them acclimated to the company as a whole, how to submit timesheets, things like that. And then they come to our team where they get an introduction to the VA project itself. So that was where I came in. And it's not really teaching anybody their day-to-day duties, but more so just what our project is about, how it works, and the various teams that work together across that project. The onboarding process when I first came on was about 3 days long, and it was really just reading from a presentation for hours a day. People were checked out, and I had even heard reports of people taking naps. That is not how you want to engage new associates. And so I spoke to my boss and had a proposition that we cut that presentation back drastically. We assign it out as pre-work within a portal so that they can go through it, take notes, kind of go through it on their own pace, and learn about the information, but then come to an interactive session with me where I can point out the high level heavy hitting points that they really need to be aware of, kind of go through the process of how to get your security clearance a little more in depth, because that's something that's very difficult for anybody that's worked on government contracts before. I'm sure you can relate. Um, and provide them a chance to ask questions that they had regarding the content that they had reviewed as well. And then hold office hours after that as a continual check-in to make sure that they feel comfortable, supported, and have a point person kind of to ask those random questions to, so that we can create a better relationship where they feel comfortable voicing some of their questions or concerns. Something that I wanted to do as well was compare feedback that we were getting from the initial cohorts of our onboarding experience to this new process. And so, as we were having new associates pilot out this new process, it was really important to collect that feedback so we had a baseline to compare it to see if it was successful or not. Ultimately, we were able to take the pilot data, compare it to previous experiences, and it had increased quite a bit. And so this is kind of the information that I presented to my boss to make this process more concrete and repeatable over time. Learn from this experience, kind of how to work across different parties. As an onboarding associate, looking at the entire program that we had is really important to ensure that every group was represented in this onboarding process, how they wanted to be, and sharing the information that was relevant to them. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm really excited for this class and look forward to getting to meet all of you a little bit more. Thanks, everyone.